Take two in terms of doing this review for part number 2 of this weekend's MLS action, and I basically spent all afternoon trying to upload my original recording of the video that I'm doing as my second attempt, and I even tried to upload it 3 times onto my YouTube channel, and for whatever reason, all 3 times it failed to process, which pretty much tells me that most likely the original recording file got corrupted. So yeah, unfortunately I have to redo this whole video again and pretty much talk about the same thing I talked about just earlier today, but it's okay. I mean, it's not really a big deal in terms of talking about the same thing that I mentioned earlier in terms of these 6 games. And why not jump into the first one, which is the Union versus Inter Miami. And remember, this was a game I was supposed to talk about last in yesterday, part 1 of my review, but since I could not resist in terms of talk about the big upset between the Quakes and LAFC, I decided to move that game in terms of the last game to review, and pretty much move this one as the first game to review in this part number 2 of the review video. Now, in this game, it was the Union that was able to get a 3-0 victory against Miami, but obviously the biggest story in this game is the debut of Gonzalo Higuain. And when I heard that he was actually going to be in the starting 11 in this game, I was actually stunned. I mean, I thought that, coming into this game, he only have like 1 to 2 weeks that he had been in Miami, and he's only started to train with this team just this week. And the fact that they just immediately shove him into the starting 11, it kind of feel like they kind of rushed him in terms of putting him in the starting 11. And this debut kind of shows where he definitely is not up to 100% match fitness. And obviously the big story of the other reason why this was a nightmare debut for Gonzalo Higuain is the missed penalty that he had in the 77th minute. But before we get to that, in the 8th minute of this game, Robles was able to deny Montero early with a chance for the Union to get the opening goal. Then 4 minutes later, Higuain would put his first MLS shot that was just a little bit high off the post. And I'll tell you what, that was not a bad effort in terms of him hitting that one from outside the box, but unfortunately just goes a little bit over the bar. Then 7 minutes later, he almost had a Zlatan debut moment when he was trying to hit a bicycle kick, but unfortunately that one just grazed the left side of the post. And I'll tell you what, if that one went in, not only the fact that that is definitely the goal of the week, but that's going to be shared on the MLS Twitter and league website multiple times, and that also is going to be shared in pretty much the entire football world, and that the entire world is going to really react in terms of just an amazing debut that Higuain has by scoring a hat trick to basically give his team the lead in this game. But instead, 5 minutes later, it would be the Union that gets the lead in this game, and it would be Anthony Fontana that scores from Shibilko and Martinez. And I'll tell you what, this Fontana kid, he has been red hot lately, and that ever since he scored that winning goal against New England, he just cannot stop scoring in terms of his goal production. And this is just another example of a homegrown from the Union and a player coming from the academy that is having success with this Union team. Now, heading into the second half, Miami had a couple of chances to get the equalizer. One of them came in the 62nd minute when Blake was able to rob Sweat a chance to get the equalizer. But then 7 minutes later, it's the Chico, Elzinho, able to score from Shibilko to make it 2-0 in favor of Miami, or in favor of the Union. But Miami did have a chance to get one back and had a lifeline in the 76th minute when they were rewarded a penalty after VAR ruled that Jack Elliott handballed it in the box, which means Higuain is able to step up and chance to basically put away his first goal on his debut with his new team. And instead of potentially having a dream debut of scoring his first goal with Inter Miami, he had a Chicharito moment where he basically just skied that one over the bar. And after when he skied that one over the bar, not only the fact that the Union player was absolutely going crazy, but there was actually a little bit of scuffle that happened, and that there was definitely a lot of trash talking that was going on between the Union player and Higuain. And Higuain definitely did not like the fact that he was being trolled by a bunch of Union player, and that, this is the thing that Higuain's going to have to deal with, and this is always going to be a thing that a lot of these big name players coming into Europe that has to deal with when they come to MLS, because you know that a lot of these MLS players, you know, not only the fact that they get a chance to play against one of the best player in the world, but you know that they're going to have a very high ego when they play against them, and when they see them having a fail moment like that, you know that they're going to, of course, trying to mock that player and trying to be a little bit trash talk a little with that player. And that for Higuain, you know, I really hope that he needs to really control his temper in after that instant, because this is going to be a thing that he's going to have to deal with. And in many ways, that was kind of like a welcome to MLS moment, and that, you know, if you thought that you could just come to our league and basically score bunch of goals and you think this is a cakewalk, then yeah, think again, because we're going to show you that this is not going to be an easy league for you to just kind of cakewalk your way to score a goal. So again, Higuain, you need to understand that he's going to have a lot of those moments where there's going to be players that's going to try to get under his skin. Now, right at the end of the game, Brendan Aronson was able to score the third goal to make it 3-0 in favor of the Union, and that was the final score of this game. As the shots in this one, 16 shots compared to 7 that the Union has, 3 shots on goal compared to 5 that the Union has, 6 shots off target compared to 2 that the Union has, 7 shots that was blocked compared to none that the Union has, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession. And, you know, going back to Higuain in this just a little bit, you know, I feel like there's clearly a lot of overreaction that is going on with Gonzalo Higuain, and a lot of people are already calling that he is going to be a huge flop. Remember, this is only one game, and even though this was a nightmare debut, he was not 100% fit in this game, and that, can you imagine if he does get 100% fit and that he starts scoring goals again? Yeah, he's going to definitely put a lot of those critics wrong, and that I just feel like there's always a lot of people kind of overreact whenever there's a big player coming into this league, and they basically just have a bad game, and that they basically just, oh, they're not really the next best thing coming into the league. So I really think people need to understand that this is only one game, and we can judge in terms of these next couple of games of how Higuain is going to play. And if he continues to struggle, then yeah, I think it's right that you can, of course, criticize him in terms of him not doing very well. But after just one game, I think it's just way too soon to just write him off and saying that he is clearly a flop, and Miami just wasted $7 million in order to pay this guy to really do nothing. But moving on, in terms of the next match, is the Chicago Fire. So for the first time in what it seemed like a while, they got a winning streak, as they got a 2-0 win against Atlanta, which means that their winning streak is now at 2 games. And in the first half, in classic Chicago Fire fashion, they scored an early goal at home. It came in the 7th minute when Fabian Herbers was able to score from Jimenez to make it 1-0 in favor of Chicago. Atlanta did have a chance to equalize just 11 minutes later, but Shuttleworth was able to make a spectacular save on Adam John for a chance to get the equalizer, and this won't be the last time that Shuttleworth would rob Jan a chance to potentially get a goal for Atlanta. Before 11 minutes later, or 21 minutes later, it would be Robert Beric that scores for Mihailovic to give Chicago a 2-0 lead. What a pass this was for Mihailovic to send Beric through. And that Beric, this is just a typical example of a striker where, remember a couple of weeks ago where Robert Beric was really struggling in terms of scoring goal? Well, finally, when he broke that goal drought, you can clearly see that in these next couple of games after he broke that goal drought that he started to score again, and that he seems like he's been on very hot form in these last couple of games. And for Chicago Fire, they will really hope that he can continue this good form that he is in right now. Now, in the second half, he had a chance to score a brace, but Guzan was able to rob him as Chicago was really hunting for the third goal. Then Guzan had to make another save, this time on Mihailovic, who I thought was very unlucky to not be on the score sheet in this game. Before Shuttleworth, again, as I said earlier about how he was able to rob Adam John a chance to get an equalizer, well, this time he was able to rob him again with a spectacular save to keep this one at a 2-0 game. And then for the rest of the game, there was a couple of half chances for both teams, but not really much to shout for Worthy to put it on the board, as in the end, Chicago with a 2-0 victory against Atlanta. And the shots in this game, 15 shots compared to 10 that Atlanta has, 6 shots on goal compared to 5 that Atlanta has, 6 shots off target compared to 3 that Atlanta has, 3 shots out of block compared to 2 that Atlanta has, and possession-wise, 49% possession compared to 51% possession that Atlanta has in this game. And I understand that Atlanta United fans are frustrated to see their team kind of week in and week out pulling these results, but you got to remember, this is a transitional year, and that this is basically a team that is kind of playing a USL level of a squad with no designated player in their starting 11, and also with a USL level kind of coaches. And knowing the fact that they already got a big signing just a couple of days ago by getting Marcelino Moreno down in Argentina, and that seemed like we're already starting to see this rebuild that is going to happen in this next core that this Atlanta team is building heading into next season. It's going to get better. All right. This off season, I expect they're going to continue to build this squad, and next season they're also going to get Joseph Martinez back heading into next season, and that I have no doubt that this team is going to be much more competitive than what we've seen from them this season. But moving on, in terms of the next match, is going to be Minnesota versus RSL, and for Minnesota, they should have won this game. And there was really only 2 reasons why the Loons weren't able to get all 3 points at home. One of them is that they can't finish. Second reason, Andrew Putna basically put on a clinic against the Loons. And his clinic all started in the 2nd minute when he was able to deny Metanier early for a chance for the Loons to go up 1-0 early in this game. For majority part of the first half, I thought Minnesota did a very good job in terms of building in the midfield, but whenever they get into the final third, it just kind of felt like they just don't know what to do after that, and kind of just got out of idea once they get into the final third. Now, right on the stroke of halftime, and as if this one looks like it was going to head to halftime at 0-0, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, RSL really started to pressure Minnesota, and that there was definitely a couple of times right on the stroke of halftime where I gone from hoping the fact that we can get an opening goal to a point where I hope we don't concede a goal and just keep this one at 0-0. And that Dane Sinclair had to make a couple of big saves. One of them came in the 45th minute when he was able to rob Krylak from close range, but fortunately the Loons just weathered that storm, and they were able to head to halftime 0-0. Now, in the second half, clearly Adrian Heath set something to this team to really rally the troops up, because in the second half, the problem that they had in the first half, which is they don't look decent whenever they get to the final third, well, that seems to be fixed in the second half, because they look more dangerous whenever they get into the final third. And this is also when Putna was really just shooting on his head to try to keep this one at 0-0. First, he would rob Reynoso in the 49th minute from 4 yards out. Before 2 minutes later, he would do it again, robbing Emmanuel Reynoso pretty much from the same spot near the near post. Then, on the other end, Martinez had a chance to give RSL the opening goal, but unfortunately he blazed it over the bar from close range. Before 2 minutes later, Putna would be robbing Reynoso for the 3rd time in this game, this time on the free kick. And I'll tell you what, Reynoso, he is just so unlucky in this game to not got a goal. And if it wasn't for Putna making some incredible save, he clearly should have got a goal in this game. And I have just been so impressed with Emmanuel Reynoso for these past couple of games, and the quality that we have heard from him when we decided to finally bring him to Minnesota has clearly shown in the last couple of games, where he's just been almost unplayable at time in these last couple of games. But despite that, the Loons still weren't able to get the opening goal, and that despite the fact that Putna did put on a bit of a clinic, I thought there was times where they could have put away their chances, and that there was just way too many missed chances for the Loons. And that when Debasi actually hit the post from the header from the 87-minute mark, I pretty much just gave up. And the fact that, we're not going to get a goal because our shooting boost was just not there in this game. Now, in terms of the shots in this game, 14 shots compared to 12 that RSL has, 7 shots on goal compared to 4 that RSL had, 7 shots off target compared to 5 that RSL had, no shots out of block compared to 3 that RSL had, and possession-wise, 58% possession compared to 42% possession. And oh, by the way, the game eventually did end at 0-0 between both of these teams. And yeah, again, this was a game where it's got to be frustrating, the fact that we weren't able to get all 3 points against a very winnable opponent, especially at home. And I really hope at the end of the season, if we're going to be either fighting for those playoff spot or trying to get a better seat for home field advantage, we don't look back at this game as the game that if we would have got a win, we probably either could make the playoffs or we would have got home field advantage at least in the first round. But moving on, in terms of the next match, is another game that ended 0-0, and another game that wasn't because of lack of chances the reason why it ended 0-0. Although this was more of a game where both teams had a lot of chances in terms of getting the opening goal, and as expected with these two teams that is very good in their respective conference, it was mostly a 50-50 game of how this one went down. Now, in the first half, and early in the first half, there was some early half chances for Orlando to get the opening goal, but it was actually Dallas that had the best opportunity 9 minutes into the game when Galese was able to deny Mosquera from the near post. And again, it was a very even game throughout the first half. Both teams was trading shots pretty much every single minute. Acosta had a chance in the 43rd minute. Well, I wouldn't say this was a chance, but he accidentally might have pulled off a spectacular goal when he was trying to do like a little overhead cross that unfortunately hits the post. And if that one actually went in, that would have been the greatest cross/shot that I've ever seen in MLS history, with the way that I've never seen anyone try to do a overhead cross and somehow in some way it was able to end up into the back of the net. Before 1 minute later, Mueller and Teshet Akindele clearly should have opened the scoreline when both of them were in the back post, and it was a beautiful ball delivered into the box, and all Orlando need to do to score a goal is either both of those guys or one of those guys to basically hits it into the empty net, and somehow in some way both of them missed that, and that this game remained 0-0 heading into the second half. Now in the second half, Maurer was able to deny Nani from long range before Mendes would get his second yellow card, and Orlando City was down to 10 men. And usually when you see this happen, you're thinking, well, this means that the home team is going to have a huge advantage and that they're going to really pile on the pressure. But that's exactly not how this game played out. In fact, instead, it was Orlando City, the one that looked like they were being even more aggressive after this red card. And tell me how many teams that you see in this league where you're on the road and you're down to 10 men and you still decided to try to be aggressive going forward on the attack and try to score a goal. There is not many teams in the league that even dare to try to do that. But remember, this is Oscar Pereira coaching Orlando City, and if there's one thing that I learned from Oscar Pereira is that he has been just a tactician genius, and whatever he decided to do really always turns out to be a magical ways. And that Orlando, a couple minutes after they got their or a couple of minutes after one of their players got their second yellow, they almost got the opening goal when Nani was able to try to hit one for about 25 yards out, and it was an absolute thunder strike for about 25 yards out that just missed wide off the net. And I'll tell you what, if that one was on target, yeah, Maurer ain't gonna get to it. I mean, the way that Nani hit that ball with so much pace, there was just no way that Maurer was able to try to save that if that one was placed right on the top left of the corner. Now, Maurer did have to deny Urso a chance to get the opening goal, and again, Orlando City being very aggressive in this game, and they were definitely not content to just get a point despite the fact that they're down to 10 men on the road. But eventually Dallas did kind of push for the opener before the game eventually did end at 0-0, but this is where the biggest controversy comes in this game. And you ever heard of the FIFA 20 glitch where right at the end of the game the referee decided to blow the whistle even though you're on the attacking end, or you have a chance to basically score and the referee basically just blown the whistle. Well, it happened in this game. So the ball was coming in from the corner, and it was only halfway clear, and that Fafa Pico had a chance to hit that one on the volley. But before he had a chance to try to hit that on the volley, the referee blew the whistle for full time. And immediately, every Dallas player was swarming at the referee, and they were just irate at the fact that the whistle was blown at that. And I don't blame them for being irate by that. I mean, referee, usually when they decided to blow for the final whistle, it usually happens whether if there is not a chance for a team to potentially score another goal, or the fact that the ball is not like in a dangerous area, and that pretty much that's when they blow the final whistle. They usually never blow the final whistle when the ball is in a dangerous area like that, and especially a big chance for Dallas to even get a late goal in that sequence. And that if Fafa Pico was able to strike that one, who knows if that one is actually going to end up into the back and end. But unfortunately, we're not going to find out because of the fact that the referee blown the whistle at that point, and that he clearly should have either wait till see how that chance is going to end, or the fact that when the ball is finally cleared away, that's when he decided to blow the whistle. So this was a huge mistake in terms of this referee, and blowing the whistle right when Dallas was having a big chance to get a late winner. But I guess this is just pro, in terms of how I mentioned many times about pro being very incompetent, and this is just another example of their incompetency in terms of you never blow the final whistle when a team have a big chance and the ball is not even halfway clear in the box. Now the shots in this game, it was 17-14 in favor of Orlando City. It was 4 free shots on goal in favor of FC Dallas. Dallas City had 6 shots off target per the 7 that Orlando City has. 4 shots that was blocked compared to the 7 that Orlando City has. Possession-wise, 47% possession compared to 53% possession. And despite the fact that we had a bit of controversy there at the end, I feel like at the end of the day, a point is fair in this resort, consider how tight this game was. But you know, the only disappointing thing I will say about a game that I was really looking forward to is that we didn't see a goal in this one. But moving on, in terms of the next match, is the Whitecaps playing against the Portland Timbers, technically at home. And you probably know why I say they're technically at home, because really they're not at home. This is basically a road game for the Whitecaps that is basically playing at the home ground of the Portland Timbers at Providence Park. And in the end, it was the Timbers that was able to get a 1-0 lead, although this was definitely not a vintage Timbers victory, and that I feel like this was always going to bound to happen when Giovanni Savarese was once again going with a rotational squad. And that, you know, when you're playing against a Whitecaps team that is not very decent, then yeah, you can potentially get away with just playing a rotational squad and able to get all 3 points. But that being said, the Whitecaps did had a couple of chances to get a point, and they might think that at the end of the day they'll feel like they're a little bit unlucky to not get at least a point out of this game. Now, in the first half, 5 minutes in, it was Felipe Mora that was able to score from Williamson from the free kick, and I thought when that first goal went in this early in the game, this literally reminds me of the last Whitecaps game, where once they give up an early goal, the floodgates basically open, and it felt like it was here we go again for the Vancouver Whitecaps. But the good news is the Whitecaps did eventually tighten things up, and then they kind of started to look very dangerous on the attacking end. Cavallini had a chance to hit the equalizer, but unfortunately he hits it just wide before Steve Clark had to rob Freddie Montero from a point-blank effort in the 39th minute as the game remained at 1-0 heading into halftime in favor of the Portland Timbers. Now in the second half, Cavallini had another big chance to score, and he probably should have scored this one from 4 yards out in the back post, but unfortunately he wasn't able to put away. And for a guy that Vancouver basically pay a hefty amount of money and be the guy that is supposed to be their main goal scorer, this is definitely not a good look for Cavallini. The fact that when your club is paying you that much money to basically score a goal in that specific situation to tie the game up, and you're not able to put it into the back, and that's just show you that that's probably not a good feeling for Kevin Lanning and also for the Vancouver Whitecaps, as they feel like they might have once again blown a chance to potentially find their proven goal scored if they of course miss those chances like that. Now, despite the fact that the Whitecaps were looking dangerous, Portland did start to eventually bring in a couple of their starters, and this is when they started to look dangerous and potentially put the game away. And it almost felt like Savarese realized that, yeah, this is getting too close to comfort. Let's start bringing some of our reserve player instead and see actually what happened in this game. And they almost scored the second goal in the 85th minute when Meredith was able to deny Ibobasi from long-range effort, before Meredith would be able to rob Valeri right in the second minutes of stoppage time and in the winding moments of this game. But in the end, the Timbers is able to still comfortably win 1-0 in this one. And the shots in this game, 12 shots compared to 8 that the Whitecaps had, 3 shots on goal compared to 7 that the Timbers had, 4 shots off target compared to 2 that the Timbers had, 1 shot that was blocked compared to 3 that the Timbers had, and possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession. And you know, for the Whitecaps, this is just a classic example of when you don't put away your chances against a team that is much stronger to you, this is going to be the resort where you're not going to walk out with anything in this game against the Portland Timbers. But moving on, in terms of the next match, is going to be the Galaxy and Seattle, and this is actually the last match I'm going to be talking about. And for the Galaxy, there's definitely some huge concern right now. And if you're a Galaxy fan, you have a right to basically start hitting the panic button, because in these last couple of games, it looked like they're having the same problem that they have in the MLS back tournament. And some of the tactical decision that the Galaxy decided to do in this game was just shocking, to say the least. Now, in the first half, 5 minutes into this game, Leerdam just puts a shot wide of the post before Bingham had to deny Ladero a chance for the Sounders to get the opening goal. But you kind of feel like eventually the Sounders was going to get that opening goal with the way that they were by far the better team and looked like they were hunting for the first goal early in this game compared to the home side. And they eventually got it in the 13th minute when Rodon scores from Morris and Nuhu. This all came because Morris just completely burned the Galaxy back line, and he basically feeds a perfect ball to Christian Rodon, who I have no idea how in the world he was completely unmarked in the box, but either way, he basically tapped it into the empty net to give the Sounders a 1-0 lead. Before, in the 24th minute, Nuhu basically had a 26-yard shot that just went wide off the post. Before, I also put on the board, the Galaxy was playing a high line, but they didn't have any pressure in terms of playing a high line. And this is where I also put question mark and exclamation mark, because I don't know what the Galaxy is doing here. Like, if you're going to play a high line, you gotta at least have some pressure and try to win the ball high up the pitch. Because if you play a high line and you don't win the ball high up the pitch, yeah, you're gonna get burned in the defensive end. And especially when you try to play a high line against a Sounders team that definitely have pace on their attack, it just feels like it's just a death sentence in terms of how this game is going to turn out. And it's no wonder why the Sounders had so many opportunity on the transitional play. And in the 38th minute, Jordan Morris scored from Ladero, and this again was from the transitional play where the Sounders completely bypassed the back line of the Galaxy because they played just too high of a line, and they just had the freedom in terms of just going through on goal and slots it in to make it 2-0 in this game. Now, in the second half, it would be 3-0 in favor of the Seattle Sounders when Rodon scores from Paulo to make it 3-0 at that point. Just 3 minutes later, Stephen Fry did deny Pavone, but then he actually gave up a juicy rebound to Chicharito. And going back to the whole Higuain situation, remember how I said earlier that people shouldn't criticize Higuain just because he have one bad performance. Well, unfortunately, I can't give that same pass to Chicharito. I mean, he has just been poor ever since he has come to the Galaxy, and that it feels like every single game that he has failed to score a goal, the more pressure is getting started to go to him, and a lot of people are saying that this seems to be on point of one of the biggest flop that we have ever seen in MLS history, and another big Mexican player that comes to the Galaxy and they paid them a hefty amount of money only to not even be effective whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, this one he clearly should have scored this one from the follow-up, and that the Galaxy did eventually score a goal late in the game when Leggett was able to score from Felcher and Pavone, but by then it was just way too late, and it was more of a consolation than actually a chance to come back in this game. And yeah, that was the final score of this game, as the Sounders would win 3-1 against the Galaxy. Shots in this game, 12 shots compared to 9 that the Galaxy had, 7 shots on goal compared to 5 that the Galaxy had. Both teams had 3 shots off target, 1 shot that was blocked compared to 2 that the Sounders had. And possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession. And again, the Galaxy, there's got to be some real concern with this team, in that I feel like when they went on that 4-game winning streak after the MLS's back tournament, it is kind of started to look like that was just kind of a fluke run, and now that they are once again in a bad stretch. Now, that being said, I know since we're in a condensed schedule that we're in this season, every team is going to go through a bad stretch. But for the Galaxy, this is where in these next couple of games, I think these next couple of games could really determine their season, because if they can continue to go on this bad run and eventually are not going to turn things around, the Galaxy could potentially miss the playoffs. And for a team that have that much talent on the attacking end and spend so much money in the off season to try to improve this team, it is absolutely unacceptable if they, of course, would miss the playoffs just because of the fact that they not only cannot defend, but now it seemed like they cannot not score goals this season. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of this video. Again, I'm so glad the fact that I was able to kind of have the composure to kind of redo this again, because let's be honest, nobody likes to kind of redo a video that you just did 6 hours ago and have to talk about the same thing you just talked about just 6 hours before. But hopefully this time the video will not be corrupted and I can actually upload it onto my channel as part of part number 2 of the review of this video. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I of course will see you guys next time.